Dobrý den, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dovolte mi vás jménem neziskové organizace Oziveni přivítat.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you at this conference on behalf of Oziveni, the NGO, whistleblowing as the protection of financial interests of the European Union. Let me just briefly explain why we are here today. In 2009, in a Transparency International survey, 2/3 of all employees in the public and private sector who met a serious ethical breach on the workplace did not do anything with the situation or just decided to consult it with their colleagues. The main reasons for doing so, they said, were fears of having problems and being afraid that nothing would have been done anyway. 1/3 thought that the employer knew about it but didn't want to do anything about it. In 2014, according to an analysis of 40 whistleblowers in the Visegrad 4 countries, which was done by Oziveni, showed that out of 40 whistleblowers, all but one faced some form of retaliation. 1/2 of them lost their job, 1/2 of them said that they had no one to turn to with regard to their protection, which is why things need to change. But how? First, we need strong laws that will give whistleblowers the right to talk, will make sure that their information will be investigated, and will allow punishment for harsh forms of retaliation which are common today. Also, we need support of the working of counseling organizations who would be lobbying for the rights of whistleblowers and providing financial, moral and other forms of support. And last but not least, we need better awareness among the public. And none of this is impossible if there is a will. And the objective of this meeting here is to support the will of the government that has been shown until now through public discussion of everyone who has something to say about this topic, to increase and improve whistleblower protection, to make it fair and to make it realistic, to not be just a cardboard shield and a false hope. The objective is to come together and join forces to achieve change. That is why we will have people from the academia, researchers, from people from NGOs, but also representatives of the state administration, journalists, and last but not least, the whistleblowers themselves. We have also launched a new website, iskmv.cz, which is there to show real stories of whistleblower and to dispel some myths and some worries. We want to show that anyone can be there to blow the whistle when they see foul play, that this is not something exceptional, but something that everybody can do. Let me now thank the City of Prague for giving us these premises, also the support of the British Embassy in the Czech Republic and the media partner pravniprostor.cz, and last but not least everyone who helped with the organization and you all for coming here today. I hope that this will be an inspiring meeting, that you will find hope for changing the current state of whistleblower perception, because no one knows when something like this could happen to ourselves, and we would be facing the difficult choice of either do something for our conscience and face all the consequences or do nothing. But now please let me start by inviting Minister Dienstbier for his opening remarks. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored to be able to speak here at the opening of this conference in particular. I'd like to emphasize that the issue of whistleblowing and protecting people who are informing on corruption, I think this is a very important topic. And after all, the government is aware of this. The current coalition promised to implement laws that would protect whistleblowers. There are similar promises also in the government conception of the fight against corruption, which is for this government's term, and the action plan that is based on this concept for this year. Because this really is a very important topic, and because I am the person in charge of coordinating the fight against corruption, which makes me the chairman of the Government Council for the Fight Against Corruption, I decided to create a work group with representatives of the expert public, of NGOs, who should help making whistleblower protection in the Czech Republic truly effective, and also to set up certain principles that these laws should be based on. Let me just list some of those promises of the action plan of fight against corruption for this year. So right now we're in the softer side. The real laws should follow later, because this is the prerequisite for implementing them. We are conducting a survey among employees of the state administration on the issues of informing corruption. This should be finished in November this year. There's also the e-learning course on whistleblowing, which again should be launched before the end of this year. There's an analysis of the option of opening a center for whistleblowers and for their disclosure. This is something being implemented by the Financial Analytical Office of the Ministry of Finance, and one of the outputs should be a white book of information and experience gathered throughout the program. Another task from the action plan is to determine a mechanism for whistleblowing in administrative offices and service offices. This is something that has been already finalized as of the 1st of July of this year, but unfortunately it's somewhat limited because the law that it's based on has been slightly changed. And the last part is preparing alternative legal systems of whistleblower protection, which should be done before the end of this year. And that's really the task for the committee that I've mentioned, the whistleblowing committee. I hope that this conference, particularly considering how great expert it has, will help formulate certain principles that should help us when we are preparing good laws on whistleblower protection, who draw attention to corruption. And for that, I'd like to wish you a very fruitful discussion over both days, and I'm very much looking forward to our further cooperation. And now please excuse myself because I have another meeting of the Legislative Council of the government where I have to be. So, once again, I wish you a very fruitful and successful conference, and I'm looking forward to our next cooperation in this area. Thank you. Now, I'd like to invite here the Deputy Mayor of Prague, Mr. Stropnicky, to also give us his introductory remarks. Good morning, all of you ladies and gentlemen. I think it's something of a paradox that this conference is taking place right here at the City Hall of the City of Prague, which is, after all, widely known for particularly these issues that are going to be discussed here, known throughout the entire country, to be honest. But I welcome this paradox, and I'm glad that it was here that we've met, which is why I also agreed that the City of Prague would take the conference under its wings. I personally never really wanted to go into politics to fight corruption. I always agreed with what the Czech philosopher Václav Bělohradský said, who said that the fight against corruption was a certain apolitical aspect of Czech politics, because politics is about ideas. Let's say social justice or free market, to simplify it to the bare minimum. Alexis de Tocqueville, one of the greatest thinkers focusing on democracy in modern history, thought that corruption was an integral part of democracy, which is really something of a paradox that is found in his work. He thought that money and finance in a democratic society replaced what under the aristocracy and monarchy used to be privileges. So that money is what gives privileges in democratic societies, because otherwise we are, of course, all equal in front of the law. On the other hand, over the lengthy time I've spent in politics, despite my still young age, I have found that it's impossible to promote a classic program, the actual content for which we are in politics. You cannot do that if on the other side of the table you have a partner who is claiming to be standing for some values, but does not accept any arguments whatsoever, is not willing to compromise. And then you start realizing, why is that the case? It's because they cannot make compromises, because they are already part, and have been for a long time, part of the system in which they took some money for promoting certain ideas. So they are loyal more to the money that they took than the program that they declared in front of the public. Which is why I think that pointing out corruption, even though it's not the main objective of political parties, or should not be, nor of citizen initiatives, because that should be actual real ideas. Despite all that, I think that it's important to talk about corruption and to speak about it loudly. After all we've heard, like Rosa Luxemburgová, people should say out loud what is going on. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a fruitful discussion.